Hey, how's it going? It's Ethan with HustlePaintball.com, and this video is called Get Rid of CO2. Now, if you live in a rural area, or for some reason you don't have access to compressed air, my sincere condolences. I'm very sorry to hear that. You probably want to stop watching the video at this point in time, but come back later when your situation changes. Now, the majority of you, however, you have no excuse whatsoever. Why are you still using CO2? The thing is, it's just old technology. It's kind of like a wooden wagon wheel. You know, they were pretty baller like 200 years ago. All the rage, man. You get from point A to point B, relatively no problems. But nowadays, there's just better technology. So the wagon wheel is out of here. The reason CO2 sucks, you guys have probably seen frozen up CO2 tanks like that in the past. CO2 gets put in your tank in a liquid form. When it expands to a gas, it often will create extremely cold situations. You know, if your CO2 tank is oriented improperly, if you're shooting too fast, if it's cold outside, CO2 is extremely temperamental. If it's cold or hot, the output pressure is going to change drastically. And that's why CO2 sucks, and that's why compressed air is better. Now, compressed air or HPA tanks are going to work with all modern paintball guns. In fact, HPA tanks will work with 99.9% of all paintball guns ever made. It's just a better way to operate your gun. There's 5 things I want to cover. 1, it's easier. 2, it's more accurate, and I'll prove that. 3, it's often lighter. 4, it's consistent and regulated. And 5, it's just nicer to your paintball gun. So let's go through those, and I'll explain. Number 1, it's easier. It's easier to fill. With CO2, you fill it up part of the way, bleed it out to chill the tank, and then you can fill it up the rest of the way. It's kind of a 3-step process. With compressed air, you hook it up, open up the valve, and go until it gets 3,000 or 4,500 PSI. It's really simple, really straightforward. You can also easily tell how many shots you have left. You just look at the gauge. Oh, I've got 2,000 PSI. Done. With CO2, you kind of have to heft it and guess. It's mostly guessing. Finally, you can top off your tank. With CO2, if you shoot about halfway through your tank, you can't go and just fill up, add a 10 more ounces to your 20 ounce. Because what you have to do, you have to bleed the tank to chill it, and then you have to fill it all the way up to the top. So with compressed air, if you shoot down to 2,000 PSI, once again, you can just look at it and be like, sweet, fill up to 3,000, no problems. It is more accurate, and I'll prove this to you, like I said. If your shots are going different speeds every single time, you never know how far, how long or short your next shot's gonna be. With compressed air though, it's regulated and consistent. So you always know that your paintball is gonna be going around 300 feet per second, or whatever you set your gun to be. You know that the distance is gonna be the same every single time. That means you're not gonna have to adjust for distance. You're just gonna have to look and be like, well, my previous paintball went there, pull the trigger again, it's gonna go there again. See, I proved it. Compressed air is the #1 upgrade for your gun, and it will make it more accurate. Number 3, it's often lighter. High-end compressed air tanks are definitely lighter. Some of these guys here, made out of carbon fiber, they'll practically float away. But with CO2, they're at a disadvantage just because you're adding weight when you fill it. You add 20 ounces when you fill up a 20-ounce tank. That's more than a pound. With compressed air, though, there's not a negligible, there's a negligible weight change when you fill it from completely empty to totally full. So it's going to be a little bit of weight off your gun. You'll be a little bit more maneuverable. Number 4, it's the output pressure is regulated. CO2 is so incredibly sensitive to temperature and weather that if you're playing out in the bright sunlight, the pressure can easily spike above 1,000 PSI. It can damage your internals, it can blow a burst disc, ruin your day. Compressed air's regulator, however, will make sure that the output pressure is always consistent. Your paintball gun's going to be safe. You're not going to get any surprises. And going back to the accuracy thing, shots are always going to go the same distance every single time. Number 5, it's just nicer on your gun. Now you saw that frozen tank. Imagine that on your internal seals and O-rings like 100 times or 50 times or even once. Doesn't matter. That would totally suck. What it does, your O-rings are going to expand, contract, expand, contract. They're going to get cracked. They're not going to seal as well. And when they expand, surprise, surprise, they're not sealing. So if your gun gets too cold, you're probably going to experience leaks. You just don't have that issue with compressed air. Those are the 5 reasons, 5 awesome, kick-ass reasons why you should throw away your CO2 tank and get a compressed air tank. Now, some of you might be concerned about the cost of upgrading from CO2 to compressed air, but you don't need to do anything to your gun at all. Unscrew the CO2 tank, screw in the compressed air tank. There's no conversion needed. You don't need to change out the seals. You don't need to do anything. The tanks themselves, a tank like this starts at like 50 bucks, brand new. And I guarantee you, if you don't want to buy new, you can find one way cheaper used. The hurdle of the price is not much of a hurdle at all for anyone who plays paintball with any amount of regularity. You know, if you go out once a year, okay, no big deal. But if you play every couple months, every month, every week, why are you using CO2? One thing I definitely don't want to see you guys do is ditch the CO2 tanks and go buy Bob's Discount HPA tank. Don't do that. Don't buy a no-name brand. Don't go online and find this great deal on a tank that says air tank on the side. Yeah, don't buy that. Those are crap. Buy a big boy tank. Gorilla or Ninja. These are two of our favorite brands in paintball. These companies both, their main focus is making tanks and regulators. They do a very good job at it. They back up their customers extremely well, and they stand behind their products. There's some other good tanks out there as well, but like I said, don't buy no-name tanks. Now, if you have any questions about all this stuff that we just covered, email us at videos@hustlepaintball.com. Be sure to check out these tanks, everything else like it, at hustlepaintball.com. Go to pbriot.com. Join the forum. Talk to me, talk to Trevor, talk to all of us. Everyone in the paintball community. We're building a great family on PB Riot. Definitely a good place to be. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Read our blog.